seconds. One minute. One minute 30. Minutes.
I watched a film recently called La Otra Conquista. It's a Mexican film made in 2000 that is about the events following the conquest of Mexico by Hernan Cortez and about this cast of characters and how they respond to the cultural conquest of Mesoamerica and not as much about the physical conquest. And in this film, the characters who are Spanish, the Spanish conquistadors, speak Spanish, and the Aztec people speak the native Aztec language. The film does this for the entire duration. And so the point of this is not as much to just be an accurate representation. The film has a lot of inaccurate aspects. It's very abstract, very strange. But the point of it is to highlight what colonialization, what true rejection of colonialization looks like. Which leads us to today's quote by Bobby Sanchez. Please don't talk to me about decolonialization when you're still speaking in the colonizer's language. And we can interpret this as meaning that rejecting colonialization involves rejecting much of modern culture. And we can see this for two key reasons. Because modern culture is colonialized culture, and because modern culture kind of perpetuates colonialization. Let's start with that first reason. Modern culture is colonialized culture. When we look at the culture of any place in the world that has been conquered in the past, it involves the culture of the place that conquered it. Even if the conquerors are long gone, even if the conquerors have long been gone and been away, it still involves that colonialized culture. For example, again, let's look at South and Central America, conquered, by the Spanish, and still so much of that region speaks the Spanish language. Let's also look at Native Americans of North America and of the United States. These were cultures that all had varied and vast, great variety of languages. However, now these languages are not really used anymore, and there's a great effort to preserve them because so many of them are dying off. They've been repressed in things like the quote-unquote Indian schools from America's history. Modern culture for these places are speaking Spanish, are speaking English, but those languages inherently come from colonialized culture, from the cultures that colonized them. Now, we see clearly with that the modern culture of these places is based on their colonial culture. Now let's look at the second example. Modern culture perpetuates colonial culture. looking again at the Americas in the um, in the post uh, revolutionary era, we have the Native Americans have been colonized by the English and the other groups of Europeans who came there. And in this process, they have ingratiated into themselves parts of American culture and parts of the quote unquote American dream. Returning again to Mexico, there is a very interesting essay called Los Hijos de la Malinche. La Malinche is the translator who worked for Hernan Cortez, who was a native Aztec woman who, in a sense, worked for her to help him conquer Central America and defeat the Aztecs. Now, this sentiment of the native, of current Mexicans embracing the uh, identity of La Malinche in a way, even though she betrayed the Aztec natives, is still present today in Mexico. This is a large part of culture there, but La Malinche is a person who submitted to this conquest and submitted to all of that. So again, we return to the quotation that please don't talk to me about colonialization when you're speaking in the colonizer's language.